So often we find celebrations in our life very difficult to deal with. And a lot of people from outside of who you are don't really understand what's going on in the inside of you in terms of why you might find that celebration very difficult. We have all sorts of celebrations in our lives as being human beings. We have things like birthdays, we have things like graduations, we have things like weddings, we have things like bar mitzvahs, we have things like any number of celebrations that we might experience in our life. And this is one thing that marks us as human beings, as social beings. And it is a real important part of who we are as a society. So if you don't know me, I'm an associate professor of innovation strategy and entrepreneurship, and I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There were so many people that helped me out that I wanted to pay the favor forward and help you out as much as I possibly can. So many of us, including myself, really struggle with celebration. So for me, any celebration that is focused on myself, I love them. They're really fun and they're exciting when I'm part of a celebration. However, because I'm a naturally shy person, I don't like it when there's more than about 5 people looking at me. I feel a lot of social anxiety whenever that happens. And so my tendency, because I'm naturally a shy person, is to not say very much. I find it hard to sort of think about things. I find it very difficult to process information, especially if there's multiple conversations at a party and people are talking at multiple times and maybe they're talking at me, or maybe you're in a large group. I typically don't like going to bars and restaurants at this moment because of simply that. I find that very difficult to process what's going on, and my tendency is to get shy and not say very much. And now on the flip side, even though I like parties about myself that are directed at me, or celebrations that are directed at me, on the flip side, my natural tendency, and I'm just being really open and honest, and I think a lot of people are like this, is when somebody else is celebrating something, I generally I have feelings of jealousy and envy of that person, but probably more jealousy, particularly when it's related to any marked occasion that is dealing with somebody else's success. And that feeling of jealousy is where, I might sort of want, I think about myself in terms of, why am I like this and that person's like this? A lot of it has to do with doubt and self-doubt and not feeling confident with my own ability. And so I project that, and this is my natural tendency, is I project that on other people, that sort of self-doubt and not feeling worthy about other people. And so this is something I personally struggle with, and I've always struggled with this in terms of these emotions. So what I'm getting at here is that celebrations, even though that they are very much a human thing and very much I'm assuming that in other animals, in other creatures, celebrations are a real part as well. I don't know that much about, other cultures in other animals and things like that. But in human beings, it is in all cultures we have celebrations. We all have rites of passages, for example, which means that we get through a certain stage in our life and we like to celebrate that. And one of them is birthdays. It's really an arbitrary thing. And over the years, it has, culturally, in Western culture, it has grown in importance in terms of what we celebrate them as. It used to be pretty minor, but, we might have marked that occasion. And years before that, we probably never even marked that occasion as a birthday, and we would have celebrated something else, right? And it's really just an arbitrary day. In terms of the grand scheme of things, there's real no significance behind that. If you look at, our population, our species, being human beings over Homo sapiens over years and years and years, it really doesn't make that much of a difference in terms of what is going on, whether you were born or not, unless you're a really spectacular individual that really changed the course of history. But most of us at this time, when there's 7.7 billion people on this earth, most of us are not that remarkable. And we sort of just build on what other people are doing in our surroundings. So we just, in terms of the grand scheme of things, it's not necessarily all that important. However, what I've learned, and I think the important thing for us in terms of human beings, it is very little to do with the actual event and the celebration that you might go through and that feeling of, having a party and whatnot. But really, it is a showing of endearment for somebody in what we like to show as human beings. And there's a weird thing that we do as human beings, and I don't know what the sort of psychological aspects of this and the sociological aspects of this is. We really don't like to address other people head on, and we don't like to be very blunt with certain things. And so what we tend to do is talk indirectly, and we use certain events, cultural events that we have in our society to speak indirectly to other people to say that we actually care about them and that we actually love them and that they truly matter in our lives. And we wish them just complete joy in their life. And the more that societies are like that, the more that there's a tendency to, and the more that people are like that, the more that there's a tendency to speak in sort of this hidden language that we have, right? So some people might like to do gifts a lot more because they feel uneasy about speaking how much they care to other people. And other people might, they might be open about it and they might sort of, give hugs and things like that. But a lot of people aren't. And so what they tend to do and what we tend to do as human beings in terms of showing our endearment and that we actually do care about other people is we might do really subtle things. And one of them is, saying that we care for you and we like to celebrate with you this particular event. I want to also point out in that it is a difficult thing for some of us to deal with special occasions. And special occasions are really difficult probably because that we might have had an experience in our background that has happened in the past that has marked who we are. And so it is very important for us to really think about what that means to us and whether that there was a negative event or something that that colored your experience, that sort of gave you a negative impression for that particular experience. And, all sorts of things can happen on special events. And this is a very real thing again. Special events are a really stressful experience for all of us, right? So Thanksgiving, which is coming up very shortly, that's a very difficult time for a lot of people because family get together. People have different opinions. They go in different all walks of lives, and they come together, and we like to talk about things openly, and then it becomes a very stressful time. And me included, I have a very difficult time with some special events that way. But what I'm getting at is that if there are events and other things that have happened to you in the past, it's very important for you to acknowledge that those happened and talk about them openly, but at the same time really think about what they mean for you going forward in terms of how you're going to handle the rest of your life. And what you have to sort of think about is that those moments, even though they matter and they really do set the tone for who you are, you have to think about what you want to do with the rest of your life and how you want to treat those particular events in the rest of your life. So you might want to think about the current people that are wishing you well during those moments, those special moments in your life, that they do care about you. And even though that those things might have happened, that there is an acknowledgement that they care about you. And what you have to do is speak openly about those things, but at the same time, really acknowledge that there's other people in your life that are really impressed with who you are, and that you actually are, a beautiful person, and that they really love who you are. So, with that, that's all I want to say. When we have these special moments in our life, recognize that they're very stressful, that they're sort of part of our culture. And the other thing is, for most of us, it's difficult to say openly to other people, we love and care about you. But at the same time, acknowledge that the things that have happened in our past really can be worked on. And the more that we can address those by just being open with them, the better off we can be. So with that, that's all I'm going to say. Enjoy the rest of the day. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And take care and have a wonderful day. Bye.